I'd like to welcome to the studio today Barry Cates of the Innovative Group. Welcome, Barry.
Oscar, it is great to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Tell us a little bit about Innovative Group.
So, started the agency in 1999. We originally were a marketing firm and had a couple clients come to us and ask if we could do some event platforms. And that started off with doing Super Bowl, believe it or not, for Lucent Technologies back in the heyday. And so we became a marketing and then event company. And then we were asked to do more on top of the event side of things. So that kind of turned us into a VIP hospitality agency. So we've evolved over the course of the past 14, 15 years. So with that being said, our umbrella group now, because of having Innovative Marketing Group and Innovative Events, we're now going to go to Innovative Group. And so that'll serve as our new umbrella. We're doing a brand new branding opportunity behind it, and just really excited about the momentum that the company has.
Sounds very exciting. What motivated you to launch your company?
Well, I had always had this spirit of being an entrepreneur, but again, it takes a lot of muster, I would say, in order to go ahead and actually take the plunge. Coming from the corporate world and having great benefits and steady paycheck and knowing that you're safe versus going into the entrepreneurial world and now people are going to be dependent upon you. That was definitely a challenge that I wanted. And when I finally got over the hump, that gave me the opportunity to go ahead and become an entrepreneur. I was up for the challenge, and I haven't looked back since then. So
that's fantastic. Tell me, when you launched your business, did you create a business plan, or you kind of jumped in with both feet?
It's kind of funny when you look at what we do. It's not rocket science. The event business is very, very competitive, and there isn't any magic wisdom to what it is that we do. It's really about our people and our experience. And I also would tell you it's the ability to adapt to change. And I think that our people are amazing in adapting to change. My number two has been with me since day one. Plucked him out of college when he was 21 years old and has grown with me for all of my years. And my plan for him is to be able to run the company and for me to continue fostering other businesses so that, again, providing our people opportunities to grow within our business.
It's great. What's unique about Innovative Group?
It's clearly our people. It's clearly the way that we think out of the box. It's clearly the way that we're there for our clients to be able to react to change. There's no red tape in our business, so there's a clear path to getting to the end result. And I think that that's one of the great things because there's a lot of people that can do what we do, but again, it all really goes back to the service level and the people. And our people are just wonderful at building the relationships with our clients and really delivering on the plan.
That's great. So you've been in business 14 or 15 years.
Yeah, it goes by pretty quick these days.
Do you remember your first client?
Yeah, I actually, when I was fortunate enough to move into my own business, I actually came from corporate world and had 4 great clients that had come with me. So Lucent Technologies being one of them, but when you look back in the day, Lucent was very big. It was a B2B business, and now they don't even exist because of just what's happened in the telecom world. So I remember those first clients, and I never take any of the business for granted. And every year, you're working harder and harder and harder to maintain and grow your business so that you can have the stability that you want. And again, as an entrepreneur, I've gone through the years of not taking paychecks and making sure that my people got paid. That's just the ups and downs of becoming an entrepreneur.
Great. What habits would you attribute to the success of your business?
I think that the success in business is really driven by people. What I've learned in my business is I love to take people that have limited experience, where I have the ability to teach them and train them the ways that we do things, because we feel that the ways that we do things are of a different nature, and we're not having to retrain bad habits. So that's paramount for us. I love taking young people, giving them the tools that they need and watching them grow within our business. And I think the other thing behind it too is when you take young people and you work with them to fortify their life plan, you have the ability of growing them long term. And that's really been something that we've worked hard at fostering, because again, we know our business is really driven by people. So the more we do to perpetuate our people internally and understand where they want to be, then there's no reason to lose them. And that's been a core success for us.
Excellent. I would imagine that would help with retention as well.
Well, again, that's the most important thing, because what do? You train somebody for 2-3 years, they're working with your clients, and then the next thing you know, they move on to some other opportunity. Well, where did we fail? How did we not know what they wanted so that we could retain them, keep them, grow them, and let them grow within our own business?
Sure. When you launched your business, how were you able to finance the launch of your company?
Well, it was lean to mean. It was working from a 2-bedroom, my condo at the time. And there was no office space, and my number 2, Jared, who was working from Atlanta, was working from his condo, and we just did the things that we needed to do to make things work. And even still to this day, we're very conscientious about spending. We're not in lavish offices, because at the end of the day, it's about investing in your people and the tools that they need to be successful so that you can over-deliver in a competitive market to your clients.
Sure, makes sense. During the growth of your company, did you need to go out to outside capital, or were you able to finance it internally?
I never took any money from the outside. It was very interesting when I started building a banking relationship. They had asked me about, hey, do you want to do a credit line? And I'm like, nah, I don't need a credit line, right? I could just manage things through my credit cards. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I should get a credit line. And then I was really, really happy for when those down cycles hit, that I was like, wow, I have a credit line. I don't have to worry about figuring out where I'm going to get that next 20 grand or 50 grand. So having the credit line was a very smart thing to do in building the credit side of things. And we've been fortunate enough that we haven't had to go outside, that we've been able to manage. And still, even in the downturns, you do the best you can to save, and you sacrifice. And at the end, there have been many, many times, as I shared with you, that I haven't had the ability to take a paycheck, but my people have been covered, and you go through the cycle.
Sure. What would you say has been your most unusual sales tactic or creative tactic to secure a new customer?
I think a lot of times, the difference in our business, it's not a cold call business, because people are putting their jobs on the line to hire an agency like us to support an effort. So I think what's happened for us is it's our relationships that we've built that have fostered our business. We've never driven one piece of revenue from the web, although I'm testing that now. I'm going to a whole social media plan and have hired a social media agency to support our efforts to really go ahead and say, well, will the social media side of things be able to drive business for us, because the universe is so big and it's changed so much. But I would venture to say that I think a lot of it is really just our passion and our creativity of when you have the opportunity to be in the game and they're pitching a concept to you, and then your response on that concept is like, wow, we never thought about something like that. So I would definitely tell you it's our creative nature and our passion for when we have to share that creative that really gives us our opportunity of earning the business.
Great. Have you ever turned down a client?
Yeah. Actually, I learned something from being an entrepreneur was, I had always felt that you got to just take every client and take every client, take every client. And what I realized was that there were certain clients that were actually not demoralizing, but drawing down the energy of the staff. And that to me was very, very important, because obviously you want everybody at their peak at all times. So there were actually 2 clients that when the business came up for the opportunity to do more with, we had passed on it, because we just felt that it was more important for maintaining the camaraderie internally. And then, we love our clients. And I think that if you don't love your clients, you can't do all of the great things that you want to do for somebody, because there's always going to be some sort of roadblock. Sure. And at the end of the day, it's what the client wants. So you have to adapt to that.
Interesting. So you've been in business 14 or 15 years. What has been the most difficult decision you ever made as a business owner?
I think the most difficult decision I ever made was venturing off into new businesses that I thought I could do. So, when you work hard in your core business and you're able to have financial success in that, and then you take that financial success and you put it into a secondary business that you have a feeling about, but you know that you can get there, and when it doesn't materialize, then you've invested the financial resources that you've worked so hard for over the course of the years. So I've made a couple mistakes from that perspective that have been unbelievable learning experiences for me. So for me, I would have to say that, but I guess nothing ventured, nothing gained. So that's the spirit of being an entrepreneur.
Sure.
Risk reward.
Sure. So, Barry, you're a very successful entrepreneur. Matter of fact, you're president of the South Florida chapter of the Entrepreneur Organization, and I believe in you. So I'd like to give you $1 million and invest in your company. How would you deploy those funds?
So I think the first thing that I would do for taking the $1 million is that I would go ahead and I would build a very young business development sales force. I would make them acutely aware of what we do. We would train them by having them shadow us to watch how we do events, and then give them the opportunity to sell our business. Because what I've realized over the course of time is, and we've tried this, I've tried to hire a couple business development guys, but they're seasoned and they just have their own different way of doing it. So I love taking the young person and watching them grow. So I would take the money and invest it in people to have the opportunity to expand in my current business. That's what I would do with the money.
Great. Excellent. So if I handed over some magical powers to you for just a couple minutes, and you had the opportunity of rolling back the clock to day one of your business, and you could reverse any single decision you made, what would that be?
It would clearly be the risk-reward financial investment that I did in a project in Las Vegas. I would absolutely love that magic dust. But again, I think when you go through difficult times like that,
sure,
it's very humbling and it's a big eye-opening experience. Like I learned from that, one of the things that I learned from it was that I wish that the times were that you could still do business on a handshake, because, I've always looked at when you make a commitment to somebody and you shake on it, you deliver on that, whether you lose money or you don't lose money. And I got into a business venture with partners that we hadn't finalized our partnership agreement. And when the partnership agreement came to a sticking point, that's when you really got to see where the partners' true merits were. And so it was a big learning experience for me that I won't go into any more deals without the agreement being done up front and all of the facets to the deal being clearly identified, so that there's clearly no misunderstanding, and move forward from. So it was an expensive lesson, but I'll tell you, it's a life lesson that will stick with me.
Great,
sure.
Great. So you only have a few seconds left with your magical powers. So if you would, look into the crystal ball and tell me how the business climate will change in the next 5 years, and how will that affect your business?
Well, it's interesting because I think that in the business of what we do, from marketing, events, and VIP hospitality, I think the core of that will always maintain itself. And the reason why I say that is when you look at the NFL and Super Bowl and the partners that are involved in Super Bowl, the Anheuser-Busch's of the world, the Horizons of the world, they're always going to do hospitality to continue to fortify their business relationships. So I don't think that that's ever going to go away, because we all know that the relationships are the things that perpetuate business. So I don't feel that the VIP hospitality and the event stuff is going to go away. I think the marketing is going to change. We're clearly seeing a shift in marketing, a lot of it really moving now towards the social side of things, which we're really starting to ingrain ourselves in, because 15 years ago it wasn't nearly as prevalent. And that's why it'll be very curious when I sit down with you a year from now to show you what my year experiment has been by really fortifying social media, and how my business has grown in the social media element. So I'm really looking forward to that. But then again, I think in my business as well, my people are starting to mature, so I'm able to take on more projects because I have the right people in place now to be able to grow that business, where before I was gun shy to do that.
Sure.
So I'm very excited about where my people are now, where they're developing, and where they'll be able to take on greater roles as we move forward in the next 5 years.
Fantastic. What one word describes Barry Cates as an entrepreneur?
Passionate. Absolutely. I'm passionate about it, and I love what I do. I've always shared with everybody in my team that if you don't love what you do, then don't do it. There's plenty of other things out in the world that you can do. So if you're going to live this life, be passionate about it, love what you do, and if you don't love what you do, find something that you do love. I do. I love it. So and again, sometimes as an entrepreneur, I love what I do so much that I don't even get paid for it. It's just part of the DNA for who I am. So when you love something, the hours don't matter. It's about the end result.
That's amazing. Which brings me to a couple other questions. You mentioned you love entrepreneurship. You've been a member of the Entrepreneurs Organization for how long?
6 years now.
And you're coming up on your second year as chapter president of the South Florida chapter.
It'll be next year, yeah.
So,
as long as I pass the vote of confidence.
I'm sure you will with flying colors. So you're an expert on entrepreneurs. In your opinion, are entrepreneurs born or are they made?
I think it's a two-sided question, because I think that sometimes entrepreneurs are made by certain circumstances. However, entrepreneurs can be born by certain circumstances too. So to give you an example, friends of mine who grew up in an entrepreneurial spirit family business have the ability of taking that family business over at some point in time. So I think that entrepreneurs can be born because it's a perpetuation of what happens from the family dynamic. You're taking over a family business, it's a second generation business, a third generation business, fourth generation business. I think the thing that made me an entrepreneur was, my father had an accident when I was 8 years old, and I had to become more independent at that age. And because I became more independent, I think that became a driving force for who my personality was. And then as I continued to grow through college and start working, I realized, you know what, I wanted to do more, and being in corporate culture didn't allow me to do more. So I think that there's a combination of both sides, that you can absolutely be born to it, and then I also think that entrepreneurs make themselves as well.
Great. Who do you go to today if you want to solve a problem, if you want to brainstorm an idea, you're looking for guidance, for mentoring? Who's your go-to individual or group?
I would share that, when I got involved with entrepreneurs, with EO 6 years ago, I had an understanding of it, but I didn't understand really what it was until I got to really appreciate the experience behind what Forum brings and the learning events and just the total organization. So I have learned that in our organization, with having 150 plus members, that there is somebody within our organization or somebody in the EO global community that can help me navigate through a challenge. But I would share that I probably lean on my forum the most, as do most EOers, because it's such a diverse group of people and they're so seasoned and experienced that somebody in there is going to be able to share an experience that's going to provide the right path for me to make the right decision. So that is a huge comfort to know as an entrepreneur, knowing that it's almost like having your own library and having that resource of being able to go there for a specific problem. It's life-changing and so comforting for me and my growth.
I've been in Forum now approaching my 14th year, and I could comfortably tell you that my life trajectory has completely changed. Being a member of EO and being with the same group of amazing entrepreneurs.
I would share with you the same dynamics behind it, because if there have been a lot of modifications that I've made that for the betterment of my business and personal life because of what EO does, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about EO and have been blessed to serve as leadership in our chapters, because when I look at what EO has the potential to do on providing growth and leadership and giving back to other entrepreneurs, it's just one of those things that just drives my passion. So I'm really excited about it.
Sure, I could relate.
Yes, you can.
So Barry, great leaders are always learning something new. Where do you go for your source of knowledge?
I think experience is probably part of the greatest knowledge factors, because there's obviously a lot of great books. There's obviously a lot of great conversation that can help you from a learning perspective. But I think a lot of times, when I ventured off to try and do new ventures and was not successful in those ventures, or was successful, I think it's the path of me going through the experience myself that allows me to really truly understand where the true learning experience is behind it. So again, when I look back at my business, I had certain challenges in my business that I had to make. So either if I went to the left or right, if the decision was wrong on the right, I learned from it. And then therefore, if my decision was right on the left, then I learned from it. So I have always felt that the true meaning of real learning happens with almost like on-the-job training.
Sure. As a leader, how does Barry Cates make a mark either in your company or in your community?
In my personal feelings on making a mark, I think making a mark is, a lot of it is really about what you're able to leave behind that has long-term growth. So I think that, in one of the things that I'm working on in EO, I think by creating the committee structure to our board structure, the committee structure is going to far outlive myself. It's going to far outlive our next president-elect and Aaron Lee, and so on and so on and so on. And what that does is it fortifies growth for our chapter, and it really goes ahead and creates an engagement platform. So I think in making a mark, that's just one component. But I think in my personal business, making my mark is watching my young people be able to grow and stay with me and let them take on major leadership roles within my business so that I don't have to spend time in my business and I can spend time with my family and I can work on other derivative businesses. So making my mark is really showing my people, or is really showing the end results for when my people are able to grow and really be successful.
It's like a father watching his kids grow up.
Exactly right. And I'm doing that now too with my new
Congratulations,
my new baby.
by the way. Share with us one of the coolest things you've ever done, either personally or professionally.
Wow, there have been a bunch, but I'll share with you one really cool thing that we did. So back in the day, Jose Cuervo was not allowed to advertise on television or the radio because they were a spirit. And they were really looking for a big PR piece for their Jose Cuervo brand. And their mantra back then was all about expressing yourself, because when you have a couple tequilas, you're really good at expressing yourself.
I wouldn't know.
So I'm sure of that. So what we did is we created a costume contest in multiple markets, and we engaged radio stations to go ahead and be the judges of those contests. And then what we did is we got Grandpa Munster, we got Freddy Krueger, and we got Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And we actually had them go around and become judges in all of these markets for this costume contest. And then what we did is we selected the winners from these costume contests, and we actually chartered the Atlanta Hawks team plane, which was 58 first-class seats. We wrapped the plane, Air Cuervo, Flight 1313. We brought all of those celebrities on, and then we allocated half the seats for media and half the seats for the contestants winners. We flew them all to South Florida, and on October the 31st, we had a cocktail party with Cuervo for them, and we, at about 11:30, we all boarded this plane, Air Cuervo, Flight 1313, and at the stroke of midnight, we were flying over the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh my God.
And the amount of press that we got on that, and that was obviously before 911, so Freddy Krueger was up in the cockpit, and all of the, when the plane's shaking, going over the Bermuda, and all of the air masks are coming down, and it was just, so it was one of those just really cool, unique things that would never happen again anymore. So
unbelievable, unbelievable. Barry, you are such an inspiration to myself, to fellow entrepreneurs in South Florida. Really, I know you're the chapter president of EO South Florida, but on behalf of the chapter, now and in the future, thank you so much for fueling the entrepreneurial spirit in South Florida. It was a pleasure having you in studio today.
Thank you
so much.
Really appreciate it. It's fantastic.